is John Goldwood. I'm president of Port Ludlow Village Council. Welcome you this morning to a presentation by Olympic Water and Sewer Inc. Presenting details around the ice pigging project, which will be happening here very quickly, starting in early May. Prior to turning this over to Jason White, who will give you all the detail around that, I wanted to mention just a couple of details for the Village Council to make you aware of. As we talked about last fall, we had a number of strategic areas of focus. One of them was to work on our website and to try and make that a more user-friendly experience for residents here in Port Ludlow. So we are very happy to announce that we have launched our new website. The old website was at pldc.org. That will remain operational for a brief period of time. But the new website is fully operational, and you will find us at portludlowvillagecouncil.org. You will see some things that you remember from the old website, but you will see also a lot of new things that we think will appeal to all of our residents, and we encourage you to spend some time on that website. There's obviously places there for you to comment. We would like your feedback on the new website. Is it working for you? Is it not working for you? What would you like to see differently? And we're fortunate to have a team of folks on the Village Council, primarily headed up by Jeff Lang, who is on stage back here, technically proficient and able to do a lot of wonderful things that we weren't able to do on our own platform. So we hope to make it better as time goes on, but please take a few moments and spend some time on it. The other quick comment is we talked last fall, one of our goals as a Village Council was to present opportunities like this for interaction between our residents and organizations that are impacting the community. So owsi is obviously a great example of that. Some of you might have been at our prior presentation where Jefferson County came down and talked about the development agreement and also timber harvest issues, etc. We tentatively are planning to do another town hall in May. We had the opportunity to work with the Jefferson County Sheriff to present on some fraud issues, how to manage fraud risk for our residents. They actually reached out to us and requested time to come down and present to the community about things that are going on in that area. We personally have had friends that have been impacted by this, some of them very significantly. It's a huge issue, and we hope to have a good turnout for those events in May. Watch our website and our email blast to give you more detail on that as we get it finalized. For those of you who have friends who are not here, please spread the word. We will be recording this presentation, and it will be on our website. So if you have folks that were not able to be here this morning, they will be able to go out to the website and hear this presentation. They can also hear a live presentation next week at the Beach Club as an evening presentation. That was one of our other promises starting last year, was to try and split these presentations into evening and daytime presentations so that we can make it available for those folks who are working and unable to be here. Other than that, welcome to this presentation, this town hall today. And I would like to introduce Jason White, who is Olympic Water and Sewer General Manager, Vice President PLA, and I'll turn it over to Jason.
So as John just pointed out, if you do not know me, my name is Jason White. I'm the Vice President of Olympic Water and Sewer. And today we're going to be talking about our ice pigging project that's going to go into effect here for the entire month of May. Bear with me, I had a little sickness the last couple of weeks. As John pointed out, we are going to have a second meeting. We'll be on Thursday the 23rd at the Beach Club. That is going to be from 6:30 to 8:30. So if there's anyone that you know that could not attend today, that they would like to attend in person, be able to have an opportunity to ask questions, which we will also do at the end of the presentation here, please encourage them to come and do so. If you're here on behalf of a particular neighborhood or a homeowners association, please, begging of the community to help get the word out for the information we're trying to present today, to get that to your neighbors, your friends, the people that live in your community close to you. Okay, so how do we get to the point that we're going to have this giant ice digging project, right? 2021, we began chlorinating our system for the first time ever in the history of Port Ludlow's water system. We brought in a filtration station on the Teal Lake side by the Teal Lake Reservoir. We brought that on a line, and it changed the water chemistry in our system, right? Adding that chlorine that had an oxidizing effect that had the historical deposits, the buildup over many, many years of iron and manganese that's clinging to the inside of our water mains. That oxidizing effect of the chlorine led to a lot of sloughing, right? And so a big plume of color would move through the system and our phone would start ringing, right? And from 2022 to 2024, we had 83 complaints for color and 4 for taste and odor, right? So we track complaints. When complaints come in, we document that. When you get your annual consumer confidence report, there's usually a couple of line items in there about how many complaints we had, what those complaints were for. And what it has done is it has increased the flushing cycles, right? So currently we do a unilateral directional flushing to help eject these deposits out of our system. And it works, it just works really slow, right? And so we increased how often we did our directional flushing to the point that our operators were flushing almost 6 months out of the year. Right? We spent half the year flushing in response to color complaints. And so we said to ourselves, there's got to be a faster, more efficient way to get this stuff ejected out of the system. So what do? In our business, we go to the engineers. We go, engineers help us. Particularly, we work with HDR. They just help us do a water system plan update. And in particular, we talked with Mr. Pierre Kwan. And through deliberations and discussions about our contaminants in the buildup and the sloughing and the color complaints, what we came up with was there's 2 ways to go about this. One, we can replace all of our water mains, and the cost to replace an 8-inch water main roughly falls between $1 and $2 million per mile. Okay. Or we could try a process called pigging, right? And so a pig is usually typically like a styrofoam bullet that would be pushed through the water mains to scour the inside of the pipe. But the problem with styrofoam bullets inside of your water mains is occasionally they get caught somewhere, and then you're digging up your water main anyways at $1 to $2 million per mile. And Pierre said to me, he goes, Jason, have you ever heard of ice digging? I said, no, Pierre, I really haven't. However, tell me about it a little bit. So he said that we could probably do ice digging somewhere around $5 per foot of main. And so this is a picture of our system and the water main lines, right? So we have approximately 104,000 feet of main lines. That's about 19.7 miles. So you can see really quickly that if we were to replace main lines, we'd be looking at about $20 million. And that's not exactly palatable to you guys, our customer base, right? When we talk about sharing the cost of these large projects. So the ice digging really quickly became the option that we would seek out, right? So Well, researching it a little bit, I found that ice pigging was developed in the United Kingdom in 2012, developed in the United Kingdom and brought to the United States in 2012, and through creating an ice slurry, you could use the ice slurry to do the pigging instead of a styrofoam bullet. And then this ice slurry had a range of 100 to 1,000 times greater efficiency than just using the water, the flushing that we have been doing. It too came at a cost, right? And so when you look at the sticker price of ice pigging compared to normal pigging, you go, that costs a lot more. But when you look at it, of the price per pound, the dollar per pound of sediment that's removed during that process, it actually became about 6 times cheaper than the flushing we've been doing, having our crew out there 6 months out of the year, and just moving an extreme amount of water to the ground, right? The studies out of Australia said that they removed about 17 times more sediment than just our normal flushing. And so we continued to dig a little bit deeper and found out that American Pipeline Solutions was the only company in the United States that was doing this type of service. Okay, American Pipeline Solutions, they got headquarters. Where does that say? Jersey, Pennsylvania, and they have one crew of 2 trucks that goes out and they do the entire United States of America. So they mobilize from one spot to the next all year long. Right? So we had an opportunity to do some case studies of some of the places that American Pipeline Solutions has already been. We looked at case studies from Park City, Utah, Gordonville, Texas, and in particular, Brewster, Washington. I looked very closely at the case study for Brewster, Washington before making a decision to try to go this route. I spoke with Lee Webster, the Public Works Director with the city of Brewster. We corresponded for several weeks, 1 month, where he sent me a number of pictures, such as this one labeled 8281, a group of samples that came from one of their ice pigging pushes. So on the left you can see it starts clear, they move all this sediment out of the pipe, and then it ends up being even clearer than when they started. He said that he could even hear chunks of manganese bouncing around the inside of their impellers. He stated that they had an increase of flow simply by cleaning out the inside of the pipe, which helps for fire flow, for fire protection. And when I was speaking with him, you know, Brewster's quite a small little place, right? But they have a lot of agriculture. They have a huge apple processing plant there. And their source waters, a lot like our source waters, had a lot of iron, but particularly manganese. They had a lot of manganese in their system. And when they would fire up their apple processing plant, they had a really, really large, like 20-inch water main. And when they fire up the apple processing plant, it would disrupt the whole rest of the system. It would cause this massive black plume of contaminant to move through the community, and their phone wouldn't stop ringing, right? I could relate to that, right? And what he said to me, he said that they had had 0 black water complaints since they did this project. And it had been about almost 5 years that they had done that project, right? So, not guaranteeing that we'll get those same type of results, but it was enough of a result for me to say, we gotta give this a try. It's in our community's best interest at this price point to try to speed up the removal of the the historical deposits of the iron and manganese built up in our system. So we contracted with American Pipeline Solutions. They gave us a quote that says we're gonna do roughly 20 loads of ice, so 20 pushes of ice. And it came with, contingency of an extra $14,000 for any extra load of ice that they might need to do to get the results we're looking for. If you'll go to the next one. So we go to the Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission and say, hey, we'd like to do this really big project, and is it okay for the utility to surcharge the community? Can the community share the burden of this project with us? Utilities and Transportation Commission says that a 70-30 split between the customers and owsi is an equitable split. Came up with this projection where we were trying to ease the burden on the community by spreading that surcharge out over a 2-year period instead of all at once. In doing so, the Utilities and Transportation Commission said in year 1, you can't charge any interest. In year 2, you can have the rate plus 2, came to be a 9.5%. And you have to give the community an opportunity to make a one-time payment if they don't want to be surcharged. And we've had many members of our community opt for that. The difference between a one-time payment and being surcharged over the 2 years is $7. So if you didn't make a one-time payment, don't worry, okay? We will start seeing those surcharges on our next billing cycle. To make it legitimate, we had to update our tariff. And so tariff schedule number 7 addresses this ice pigging. And if you'll note at the bottom of that, the payment calculating uses the project cost. When the project is complete, we will have an opportunity to go back to the UTC and ask for an adjustment of surcharge, either up or down, depending on what the final cost of the project was, right? So that's if we have to have a bunch of extra loads of ice, at $14,000 load, it might go up some. If we get through this and we shave a couple of days, it could go down. But we do have that option to go back in and make an adjustment. And that's nothing new. Did that with the filtration station, right? And actually, that one lowered it, so. So what is it that we can expect, right? What can the community expect to see coming this May? The video here.
Today we're in Dorneyville, Texas at Rock Creek Resort, cleaning out a water main for our customer. They have us here doing ice pigging because they have color and taste issues in the water. Ice pigging is an advanced pipeline cleaning technology where we use an ice slurry to clean out the lines. If you've never heard of ice pigging, it's a really great technology to try for pipe cleaning. The ice being a fluid, it's able to conform to different size pipes and bends and shapes that a lot of other technologies aren't able to do in the industry. And this tank is full of 10 tons of ice. And all this ice is going to get pumped in through this 2.5-inch hose into the fire hydrant that'll take it down into the main and then out to the discharge point about 3,000 feet away. So now we're down here at the discharge end. We have 2 hoses. One hose goes from the fire hydrant in through the FAS. The FAS is known as the flow analysis system. The flow analysis system is going to take a bunch of numbers. It's going to take the flow. It's going to totalize the number of gallons we've used for each push, the pressure, the temperature, the turbidity, and the conductivity. The conductivity is that salt content from the ice. So once the water runs through the FAS, it comes out at the other side and it runs through the hose to the discharge point where the displaced water in front of the pig will come out, and we register that so we make sure that when we're done with the ice pigging, that we got all the ice out of the line so we can put the system back to normal. In a typical ice picking job, we could have the whole project done in under 2 hours.
So the gentleman in that video, his name is Shane Garner. He is the supervisor of that crew. He is going to be the man that's going to be here in your community with his crew and those trucks. If you'll skip over Diana. What we expect to see is this type of removal of sediment from the inside of our water mains. This particular picture is the sediment that was removed immediately after a flushing campaign, right? And so we just went through a flushing campaign. Robert and his crew, right before the new year, finished a round on North Bay, and they just, this last month, finished a cycle on the South Bay side. And so the results that we hope to see immediately after flushing, we look to mimic what you see here in this picture. Right? So when these guys start to come in, they're going to be staging those big trucks. They're also going to have a bunch of other equipment that's dropped off. You're going to have pallets of salt to make your ice slurry. They're going to have some fuel that's delivered. They're going to stage above the marina in this spot that's highlighted here. What you're going to see in that area prior to them showing up is Robert and his crew are going to go ahead and cone off that area so people aren't parking there. They will come in and bring their equipment in every day, stage there, and then head out there for the day's worth of work, coming back to that location every night. They anticipate showing up the week of the 28th, and that their other equipment and supplies will start showing up right around that time as well. Okay? So the actual work, the actual pigging is going to start on Monday, May 5th. Okay? That's the important date here for you guys. Okay? American Pipeline Solutions and the owsi crews are going to be working together. They're going to be working every day of the week until the project is complete. That means Saturdays and Sundays too. Okay? Saturdays and Sundays too means that you'll have some weekend days where some members of the community will be inconvenienced, right? That staging area in the previous picture, they plan on leaving that staging area around 8:30 in the morning, and we hope to have the first push of the day to start right around 9 a.m. That should give everybody an opportunity to get up and have coffee and get kids off to school if they need to, and really let your morning routine kind of run its course before you're going to be inconvenienced for a few hours that day. We're estimating 20 loads of ice. We can only do 1 load of ice a day, right? It takes them overnight to regenerate a new load of ice. Once they have generated a load of ice, we got to use it, right? As soon as they generate it, we pay for it. Once it's generated, it's technically ours, right? If we run into any hiccups or anything along the way and we waste a load of ice, we still pay for it. The goal is to finish by Memorial Day, right? It's to be done by the holiday weekend. Both for our community to not be inconvenienced over their holiday weekend, but also because American Pipeline Solutions, they have a big job with Boeing, that they can only work the Boeing facility when there's no one there, so a holiday weekend works well for them. And if they have to come back here after Memorial Day to finish something, they will. They hope to be on their way to South Dakota next. Right? So, working with American Pipeline Solution, we have put together these pigging plans where we have lined out what we're going to do on which day. Okay, you got these color-coded runs on the map. What you have here is the first 4 days of the north side and what those runs would look like. We have the entire north side planned out at this point. Those are going to be getting up on the website soon. The south side is currently being color-coded and designating run to run. Once it's all comprehensive, put together, I will put in to Jefferson County for a traffic control plan for at least 3 areas on Teal Lake, Paradise Bay, and Oak Bay. The rest of our pigging plan has us up in the neighborhoods on the side streets. Okay? So we'll still have signage out, we'll still have flaggers available. But what we're going to ask is if you guys are aware that the project's going on and be careful as you're driving through the neighborhoods to make sure that everybody's being safe. So it's just like when owsi does their regular flushing, right? When we do our regular flushing, Robert puts out an announcement, and that announcement says, hey, to avoid pulling discolored water into your home, try not to use your water while we're flushing on your street, right? And that we understand that through these processes that we are inconveniencing you, it should be a temporary inconvenience.
So the water's not going to be shut off for that area?
No, I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
So just like during the flushing, this is the part I cannot stress enough, do not use your water during a push, okay? You do not want that salty brown water in your home, okay? Some of the runs are really, really long, right? You heard in the video, he was doing a 3,000 foot push, okay? Some of our runs go all the way like around the loop of Pioneer. There is no way with the manpower that we have that we can turn off each and every individual home meter, do the work, and then go turn them all back. We just don't have the manpower and the hours in the day to do. Your inconvenience time would be extremely longer if we were to go that route, and the project would take a lot more than a month. So, the community participation here then falls within the do not use water during the ice pigging push. Okay, so we said a temporary inconvenience. Just say, Jason, what is a temporary inconvenience? What's temporary to you might not be temporary to me. Okay? Because we can't turn them all off, and what we're asking you to do is not use your water during this time, a push of ice that we're going to try starting around 9 a.m. can last anywhere from 30 to 120 minutes. Okay? You can expect on one particular day not to use your water from anywhere between 2 and 4 hours for that day. Some of the runs have the same insertion point. So there are spots within our community that will be inconvenienced for a couple of days before the trucks move on to a new insertion point. Okay? So be prepared, depending on where you live, you might be asked not to use your water for 2 to 4 hours for a couple of days in a row. Once they have moved through your neighborhood, you will not be, it should not be impacted at all, again, for the rest of the ice pigging process. So the response to me would be, Jason, how are we going to know if we're not supposed to use our water? How will we know that you're working in my neighborhood? When you guys flush, sometimes we see you on the street and sometimes we don't, right? It never fails that when we're doing flushing, that we get a call from somebody who has used water during our flushing and drawn something into their home. Or they have ruined a load of whites in the wash. So, the picking plans are going to be posted well ahead of time on the website. That is going to give us a day by day. We're inserting here, we're discharging here. Do I live close to the day's work on the plan? But what we're really asking, and what we have been asking for a while, is if you will sign up for notifications through our alert media. Okay? Alert media is our only real-time communication. What you're going to see if you sign up for alert media notifications is in the morning, Robert is going to send out, or I am going to send out a notification that says you are going to be impacted by today's ice picking by email. The next notification will come a little bit later in the day, and it will say, please don't use water for the next few hours. And when we are done with that push, when we are done with that ice picking push for the day, there will be one more notification that says it is okay for you to start using your water. Today's picking is complete. You may now use your water. This will happen for 20 days, right, throughout our community. If you are not signed up for alert media, you will not be getting notifications. We do not post on Facebook. We do not use Nextdoor. We use alert media.
I'm thinking here, maybe presidents of HOAs or that have all the emails for your HOA, make sure you're signed up, and maybe you can send an additional email to your team or to your community. And that way we can help spread the word, because as you can see from the room, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't aware.
Signing up is fairly easy and it is free. Absolutely no extra cost to you, right? You can scan this QR code. You can come down to our main office. I believe Jesse has paper copies to fill out at the desk. If you have a neighbor and you don't know if they're signed up, go knock on their door, all right? Be kind enough to knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey, are you aware that this project is going on, and have you signed up for notifications? We can help each other not to draw any of this salty brown water into our homes during this process. So again, don't use water during the push. This is the part I can't stress enough. And don't, but what if you accidentally do? If you accidentally do it, it's just like the flushing, okay? That the salty brown water, it is, you run your taps, flush your water, run it for a few, maybe 10 minutes to clear the color out of your home. Okay? If for some reason you run your water for 10 or 15 minutes and it does not clear up, call us. We will send out a technician. Hi, Joe. We will send out a technician. Technician will come and they will run some tests right there at the house, and we will do our absolute best to help you alleviate your issue at your home. Okay? Questions?
A second to the left. And Mike.
You want to go to the microphone and pass it around?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's any advantage to us turning off our water at the street ourselves.
I would probably discourage people from turning off their meters, right? Because if you break the meter for any reason, then you're going to be charged for the repair to the meter. And if you damage it and the crews are all busy doing the ice pigging, it's gonna be hard for them to come fix your meter problem. However, if you have a shut-off valve at your home, right? Many people have shut-off valves at their home, in their garage, on the way, somewhere between the meter and the house. By all means, you're welcome to turn it off at your home, for sure.
I was just wondering where the salty water is discharged at various points.
Yes, so just like when we do flushing, the majority of our flushing goes into the surface water ditches, and does a little bit of overland flow. And what we're going to get with this process is you're gonna get the ice slurry and the brown going to the surface water ditches. I've discussed with Jefferson County Roads, who maintains those ditches, the project that we are doing. They were okay with that. If there is a place where we cannot safely get the discharge from the ice pigging to go to a ditch, we will try our best to run something over to a manhole, and we will process that through the sanitary sewer.
Other questions?
In the back.
In the back.
How often would we need to do this? You
The
think?
ice pigging process on a
Yes.
whole?
Yeah,
Her question was, how often are we gonna need to do this process? This ice pigging process? And that's a good question, right? Again, having done the case studies from the different places, Mr. Webster and the city of Brewster, they had been over 5 years without having to have anyone come back and do this type of work. So, hopefully, right now we are treating for the iron and the manganese at the wellheads, right? We have treatment, and we should not be putting these contaminants in our system like we have historically. A good clean now and good treatment prior to the water going into the system should be keeping it from building new contaminants. So, can't give you an exact number of years, but we look to get many years of relief out of the process.
How much pressure on the pipes, on the older pipes, does this ice picking put?
So the trucks that do the injecting, Mr. Garner has the ability to control the pressure as he feeds that ice. We should not see any spikes in water pressure beyond what our normal operating ranges are. We do have a variety of different types of pipes throughout our system. We have the AC pipes, we have some cast iron pipes, we have a bunch of C900 PVC pipes. And so there will be some impact through the scouring. However, through all the case studies, and American Pipeline Solution is doing this work for a long time, it is safe for every type of pipe we have in our system.
No breakage or anything?
We don't anticipate any broken water mains due to this. One of the reasons we chose this instead of the standard typical pigging with a styrofoam type bullet, right?
Okay, we have a drainage system here in our community here in South Bay. Do you know if our storm drains go into the sewer? If not, we have a containment pond or retaining pond down here that's full of wildlife. And what is the salt water gonna do to that pond if that storm water goes into that pond?
I'm not sure if you're mentioning or referring to the facts that your ponds are like full-time year-round ponds, or they're simply there to collect surface water runoff,
It's a full-time pond.
right? And so I'm not sure where that particular pond you're referring to is. I would be happy to go over where we're discharging that area to see if we can have a minimal impact on wildlife in a full-time pond that is made to be a pond. The other pond would be at the marina, right? So you have that, but that is already salt water. When I think about the ponds, that they have like in the OT2 phase 2, those are not full-time year-round ponds. They are for surface water runoff.
Are you still gonna be putting out the little signs that you do?
Absolutely. We will use every sign that we have available to us, to make sure that there's, if nothing else, for traffic control, right? But the alert media notifications is gonna be your best avenue to real-time notifications. If you are in your home and you haven't been out for the day, you're probably not gonna see a sign on the street.
Any other questions, folks? And so just to follow up on Jason's presentation, one quick note is, along with the tech advances that we're making on the website, we're actually starting the process of live streaming our meetings. And so I think our first one, well, we're live streaming this one, but nobody's aware of it, right? The one next week will be live streamed. So again, our concern from a village council perspective is that the community's response to information is, in some cases, is really minimal, right? You do a lot of push of information trying to get people alerted to what's going on, and for a variety of reasons, the community doesn't recognize what's happening. This project is, in some ways, yes, it's like a regular flushing project, but it's very different from that, and the impacts are significantly greater, and we really want to get the word out to people. So, the Utilities Committee of the Village Council has been part of this process in the background for a year and a half, I think, about a year and a half, to get to the point of actually going for the tariff, making it happen, etc. So, one of the things the Village Council does, it doesn't get nearly the rave reviews that we get for the Trails Committee, as an example, but we're working on behalf of the committee, on behalf of the community, always. So one of the things that we will be focused on is around this communication issue. We may be doing some doorbelling. Once we see an actual schedule of when these pushes are going to be coming into a specific neighborhood, my hope is that we can prepare some volunteers who will just go out and knock on doors and let people know, potentially, emphasize potentially, because I don't know the numbers of residents that are going to be involved on any one day, so I can't say exactly what we'll do, but we're going to make every effort from a village council perspective to try and get people alerted to this and aware of it, because we think that it's quite significant.
Are you going to send a copy of this presentation? I'd like to post it on our village website.
I believe that this presentation will be posted on our website. It's already posted on the owsi website, so if you go out to Olympic Water and Sewer Inc., you'll find this exact PowerPoint presentation. If you go to our website, ultimately you'll have both the audio and the PowerPoint available for information purposes. Okay. I think that is all the things. Jeff, am I missing
Nope.
anything?
Nope.
Anybody else from the council?
Sign up for our email blast on our website. We've still
Yeah.
got very little participation in email blast.
Right, thanks. So what Jeff was mentioning was our e-blast opportunity. We will continue to evaluate methods to try and get more communication out. The challenge we have, and Jeff and I and others on the committee have been talking about it, is kind of the frequency. How often do we do these? You know, if we do too many e-blasts, then people ignore them because they've had too many e-blasts. If we get kind of imminent information, we'd really like to be able to use the e-blast process to alert you that something's going on, but trying to find that happy medium between too much information and too little information is something that will continue to be a work in progress. But just please, I can't emphasize enough, please communicate to your friends, to your neighbors, folks that aren't here. Please let them know that they should go and review this. You won't remember all the details, right? You're not gonna be able to go home and tell your neighbors, hey, this thing starts on May 5th, and you go blah, blah, blah. But there's resources where they can become informed, and please let them know that. That we are making every effort to get this information out to them. If they wanna wait until next Wednesday evening, I think Wednesday evening was the, and I think it's Wednesday the 23rd, right? Yeah, Wednesday the 23rd. So if they wanna wait till that one, that's fine, but just help us communicate, those of you that have made the effort to be here, please help us to communicate in any way that you can what's coming down. One quick thing that I thought of only because of how our system works, I believe that our sprinkler system for our lawn irrigation, I think is not controlled by our main valve, and so you might just remind people maybe, if they've got a sprinkler system, if they have a separate shut-off valve for their sprinkler system, you want to shut that off as well, because you probably don't want to push salt water out onto your lawn if you happen to be sprinkling while you're doing the push.
If you have sprinklers on timers and they go off automatically, it's certainly something that you would like to address ahead of time. You can probably just turn it off at your backflow assembly. If you turn the water off at your backflow assembly, that would keep it from being fed at all, even if your timer didn't get turned off.
Thanks, Jason.
Robert Whalen, stand up and wave at these people. This is Robert Whalen, he is the operations supervisor at owsi. If you have any more questions, you can see myself or Robert after this. We'll be available here for a little bit.
All right, thanks everyone, appreciate you coming in today, appreciate you committing the time. You will hear more from us between now and May 5th, and hope that you'll have a good holiday weekend ahead. Thanks very much.
The pond, somebody wanna tell me where the pond